Hi there, welcome to video 1. I hope this is going to be useful. So today's lesson is an introduction to the 5 pillars focusing on Shahadah. So what I would like you to do, if you haven't already done so, is I need you to write the title, the 5 pillars here, into your RS book. So press pause on the video until you've done that. Okay, so now you've done that, what we're going to be thinking about is why all those central elements of Islamic beliefs are represented by pillars. And if you think about it, pillars hold up a building. So in the same way that pillars you might have pillars in your house. If you think about RE1, pillars in the corners of the room holding up the building. These are so important to a Muslim. They literally hold up everything about their life. And that's why this analogy, this idea of the 5 pillars helps Muslims. So we've got there Shahadah. Now, in some of the websites that you use, they will have an H on the end. Salah, sometimes spelt with an H, as well as a T. And Zakat. We've got Som, and you won't be able to see it because of my little box, but there's also Hajj in the bottom right hand corner. So Shahadah, Salah, Zakah, Som and Hajj. Now then, when we're thinking about how to get a higher level, we need to bring in some wider concepts, okay? And what I want you to do in your RS book is to consider Ibadah. Now, Ibadah is this concept of belief, and it kind of reflects how within Islam, the religion is more than just a religion, it's a whole way of life. So we've got this story here. So have a little read of this story, press pause on me while you're doing that, and then when you're ready for the next bit of the lesson, press play.
Rainbow.
Okay, so after reading that story, which is what you should have done so far, what you're going to do, you're going to write the title Ibadah, and then using the information on this slide, you're going to write down a definition of what Ibadah is. And Ibadah is just the Arabic word for true worship. And it's getting you to think about how, as a Muslim, it's not just what you believe that matters, it's your actions or your amals, and it's also your realization, your understanding of everything that is right and true. There's 3 things that are seen to be, if you like, the enemy of Islam, really. We've got the kafir, so people who don't believe and people who are ungrateful. We also have, and I'm going to see if I can't move this. We've got shirk, which we've talked about before in beliefs, this idea of comparing something to Allah. And then we've got tughyan. So this is represented by anyone who is a tyrant, anyone who's trying to stop people from following the real way of Islam. So what I'd like you to do now in your book is press pause on me and write in a definition of what you understand Ibadah to mean. Okay, welcome back. So you've done that. Now what I'd like you to do is click on this TrueTube link and have a little look at a nice introduction to those 5 pillars of Islam. Okay, so if you open a new window, then you will be able to add that in. You'll be able to look at that, so you can copy and paste that in. Press pause on me. See you in a bit. Okay, so now what I'd like you to do is make that diagram of the 5 pillars from the previous slide. If it's easy, go back, holding up the roof of Islam, and copy that into your book if you haven't already done that. Then what I'd like you to do is to label the pillars with the Arabic and the English names, so Shahadah, Statement of Faith. Then question 3, I want you to write down the frequency of each pillar. So how often a Muslim needs to follow that particular pillar. So something like Shahadah, what do you think? Well, if you said it's a daily belief, then you'd be right. But for something like Salah, daily prayer, that has to be followed 5 times every day. And then you can do this underneath if you want to. Question 4 on the tasks, I just want you to briefly explain what each of those pillars are. We are going to come back to each of those pillars in more depth in future lessons. Okay, so press pause on me while you do those tasks. Okay, so what we're going to do now, we're going to focus in on Shahadah, the statement of faith. And this is a statement of faith. And I've done a very wonky line around, you can see there, the English translation. Now, I apologise in advance for my Arabic, but this is what this says. Okay, La ilaha illa Allah Muhammad Rasulallah. And that means in English, there is one God, but God, Allah, and Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. Don't forget that Shia Muslims also add in, and Ali was the friend of Allah as well. So this is what the Shahadah is. Okay, so what I'd like you to do in your book is to put a new title, the Shahadah, the first pillar. And then what I'd also like you to do is to put this in your book. So actually have that is what the Shahadah is. And the Shahadah is literally just the statement of belief. It's what a Muslim believes. It's really simple. You cannot be a Muslim if you do not believe in the Shahadah. It's a bit like if you've ever been to, I don't know, brownies or cubs, and you've made like a brownie promise or a cub promise, or beavers or scouts, whatever. You can't be a member of that community without making that promise. And this sums up, it's like a creed. So if you think back to Christian beliefs and the Apostles' Creed we talked about, this is kind of the creed of Islam, for want of a better word. So all you need to do for this task is just make sure you've got your title and also that you've written down what the Shahadah is. So give me a pause and then do that for me. Okay, so focusing a bit more on the call to prayer. If you click on the link here, then you'll be able to hear the adhan. And in Muslim countries, you will hear this. This will be said from the top of the minaret. That's the very tall tower you see on a mosque. And it's also broadcast on radio and TV screens. But in non-Muslim countries, it's given inside the mosque to alert Muslims that prayer is about to begin. And if you go by the mosques in Barton Street, for example, then you will see, there might be something you hear. Certainly if you go on a holiday to Muslim countries like Egypt or Turkey, you'll definitely hear the call to prayer 5 times a day. So if your hotel's next to a mosque, you'll hear it a lot. What would be useful here is just an idea of what the call to prayer is. So press pause and add that into your book for me now. And the call to prayer is said by a muezzin who stands at the top of the minaret. Okay, so taking this again to a kind of level 5, 6 and above. Remember, we talked about the importance of the Shahadah. So these are just some reflections from Muslims about how important the Shahadah is in their life. It's not just something that is on a piece of paper. So for example, it might be the first bit of Arabic you would learn as a child. Obviously saying publicly this Shahadah in front of a group of Muslims makes Muslims feel they belong to the Ummah, the community of Islam. And it says when people make this declaration and believe in it, they've entered Islam. But it's more than words. Your whole life must back up what has been declared. And this goes back to ibadah, this idea that Islam is not just a religion on a page, that you have to live and breathe being a Muslim. Okay. So the final bit of today's lesson on Shahadah is that exam practice. So question B, a B question on the Shahadah. Remember that technique of gimme 5. So describe the Shahadah and how it's used. Okay. Now, if this was a true B question, it would probably just say describe the Shahadah. Now, the C question, explain the importance of the Shahadah within Islam. There's an 8-mark question. Don't forget to show the differences here between the way that Sunni and Shia Muslims use the Shahadah. Don't forget that extra bit of information. That was also in the TrueTube Sunni Shia video, so if you haven't yet checked that out, if you were absent last week, then please make sure you access that. So what you're going to do for these questions, write the question in your book first, do one at a time, and then you need to set a timer for 5 minutes for your B question, then complete your C question, and then set a timer for 8 marks. Now it's up to you. You can email this to me or to Miss Galpin if she's your teacher, or you can take a picture of it if you've written it down and email it so that we can give you some feedback on your exam practice. More than happy to do that, folks. Okay, thanks for tuning in on that. I hope that was useful, and I look forward to catching up with you for your Salah lesson, which I aim to do tomorrow. All right, take care, enjoy the rest of your day, and I look forward to catching you soon.